Welcome to the next lecture in the course, and in this lecture I'm going to quickly walk you through some of the basic tips for designing a prompt. So first we covered what are some of the basic tasks that ChatGPT can do for us. Then we worked on drafting prompts and what are some of the things that we should remember and have in our mind when we are drafting our prompts. For instance, context and audience and the output format. Now I'm just going to provide you some basic tips that I found very useful when it comes to designing prompts. So nothing specific that you can add to a prompt, but all these instructions combined will really help you make the most out of the use of these large language models. And where is this information coming from? This is coming from a research paper that I recently read on prompt engineering, and I will write a reference to that research paper as well. Read it out. It's slightly technical in terms that it used very mathematical techniques to explain it. I had to really simplify it and get the gist out of it to be able to use it in the course, but I'll definitely leave a link. Actually, here's the research paper. It's from a couple of data scientists called Self-Consistency Improves Chain of Thought Reasoning in Large Language Models. So this is where the most of this section is coming from in terms of the material that we're covering next. So the first thing is, keep in mind that you have to start simple. As you get started with designing prompt, you should keep in mind that it is an iterative process. One prompt will never do the job. You will have to keep trying out different wordings, different combination of prompts to see what works best for you. You can start with simple prompts and keep adding more elements and context as you aim for better results. Versioning your prompt along the way is vital for this reason. As we read the guide, you will see many examples where specificity, simplicity, and consciousness will often give you better results. When you have a big task in hand, remember, okay, so let me tell you this by an example. Let's say that we're writing a code, or let's say we're writing a book. Now I can't go to ChatGPT and tell it to write an entire book for me. It won't do that. It will write the first 2000 words max, and then it will start. I'll have to write continue a couple of times. It will write something, but it might be something that I'm looking for, it might not be. So what's the best way to approach it? So whenever you have a project, break it down into smaller tasks and then address them one by one. So let's say we're writing a book. What's the idea? Okay, we need, let's say, 100-page book. Each page will have 100 words, so that's 10,000 words. Okay, now let's say those 10,000 words are divided into 10 chapters. Okay, so the first thing that I need is I want the name of the 10 chapters, and then I can subdivide them and then write them accordingly, right? So the first prompt that I will ask ChatGPT is not to write me the book, but I will ask it to write me the chapters of the book or the course outline. Let's say it gave me a list of 10 chapters. Now the next thing that I want is to make sure that these are the chapters that I actually want to use in my book. So I like 8 of them, 2 of them I don't like. I will write in the next prompt saying, okay, these 8 are fine, change these 2 to these 2. Okay, so now I have my 10 chapters. Now what I can do? Now I can ask ChatGPT to further divide each chapter into subtopics, 2 or 3 subtopics. So for instance, chapter 1, let's say we're writing a book on keto diet. So the first chapter is about what is keto diet and introduction. We can further divide this into subtopics. For instance, what is dieting, what is keto diet, and how does it impact the body. Let's say these are the first 3 topics. Then in this way, we have divided a 100-page book into chapters, and then within chapters, subtopics. Now I can ask ChatGPT to write me the content for one subtopic at a time. So what I did was I took a big project, divided into very small projects, and then converted each small project or task into a prompt and fed that into ChatGPT, got the output, and that goes into my book. So remember this, start simple, iterate through a couple of prompts, figure out, okay, this is the context that I'm working with and these are the prompts that are working for me. And based on that, you can then divide your big project into smaller project or tasks and then convert each task into a prompt and then move on from there.